Hello everybody, my name is Thomas Murray, and today I will be telling you about one of the most important sport figures at all time, a man named Jackie Robinson. Jackie was born in Cairo, Georgia in 1919. A year later, his mother decided to move his family out west to Pasadena, California. From there, Jackie would go on to attend John Muir High School, where both of his brothers, Frank and Mac, attended school. Frank and Mac were both heavily involved in athletics. They were both stars in sports. Mac would go on to become an Olympic champion at some point in his life. But those two were the reason why Jackie was so involved in sports growing up as a child. Jackie would go on to play football, basketball, track and field, and of course baseball, the sport we all know him for. 1938 to 1939, Jackie would go on to attend Pasadena City College, just right down the street from his former high school alumni. From there, Jackie was a star athlete. Jackie was incredible at baseball. Jackie would go on to win a championship at Pasadena City College, followed by Southern California League MVP that year. Following Pasadena City College, Jackie would go on to attend UCLA as a four-letter athlete, meaning Jackie was again playing track and field, baseball, basketball, and football. While at UCLA, Jackie was a star athlete at everything he did. He was phenomenal. He was just so incredible, so electrifying to watch as a player. But while Robinson was an incredible athlete and he led UCLA to a 6-0 record his first year at the school, what was more incredible was that Jackie was one of 4 players to be a person of color on the team. But following Jackie's senior season for football at UCLA, he ended up not graduating from the school as he dropped out to help his mother out at home. But then in 1942, Jackie was drafted into the U.S. Army, in which he was forced to fight into World War II. But following that, in 1944, Jackie was honorably discharged from the Army as he suffered an ankle injury. So in 1945, Jackie would go on to play for the Kansas City Monarchs. While on the Monarchs, Jackie was receiving $400 a month as part of his contract. But during that one season that he played for the Monarchs, Jackie was so electrifying as he hit 375 for the Monarchs. He put up 27 RBI. He had 4 home runs and 3 stolen bases. What really stood out for Jackie when he was playing for the Monarchs was his hitting was unbelievable. As I mentioned prior, his speed was incredibly insane. This guy was so fast. He could steal any base anytime he wanted. And of course, Jackie had the flashy defense. And he was always making the highlight play. He was making incredible dives, playing shortstop, probably one of the hardest positions in all of baseball. And following Jackie's season with the Monarchs, he was so incredible that he caught the eye of Major League Baseball, as Jackie would go on to sign a contract with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And this was incredible to see at the time, because during that era, we had segregation going on in the country. Whites could only play with whites, blacks could only play with blacks. We never had people of color playing with white people during that time. On April 11, 1947, Jackie did the unthinkable as he went on to become the first ever African American player to play in a professional baseball game. And while Jackie was incredible in his debut, he of course did face some sort of racial slurs throughout the season. Most notably was one of the games against the Phillies, where the Phillies second baseman dropped the racial slur to Jackie, and he said he could hear racial slurs being said to him out of the dugout. Although Jackie was facing a lot of adversity and a lot of negativity throughout the season, but that would not stop Jackie, as he would go on to hit 297 with 12 home runs in his rookie year, followed by 48 RBI, 29 stolen bases. Jackie would also go on to become the Rookie of the Year for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And from there, Jackie would go on to have an incredible, stellar career with the Dodgers, as he would go on to appear in 6 World Series, and this was all in a 10-year span. In 1955, Jackie won a World Series with the Dodgers, and what was probably the biggest highlight of the game was Jackie stole home against the New York Yankees. He stole home 12 times throughout his incredible Hall of Fame career. When Jackie would go on to retire from baseball, he had a career average of .311, followed by 141 home runs, 761 RBIs, 200 stolen bases, On January 30th, 1988, Jackie's hometown of Pasadena decided to honor their own star athlete by presenting the Jackie Robinson Memorial Field, which is now home to Pasadena City College baseball. Followed by the baseball field, across the street is the Jackie Robinson Community Center. In 1997, the city of Pasadena would go on to unveil 2 statues honoring Jackie and his brother Mac, who were both accomplished champions for the city. Later that year in 1997, the Dodgers and Major League Baseball decided to retire the number 42, thanking Jackie for what he did for today. Because if it wasn't for Jackie Robinson, we wouldn't have had the amazing talent that we see today in baseball, followed by players like Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr., Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Then on April 15, 2017, the Los Angeles Dodgers decided to unveil a statue honoring Jackie sliding into home plate. The reason the Dodgers did this was it was the 70th anniversary of Jackie breaking the color barrier, and for that they wanted to say thank you to Jackie. For that, Jackie, we'd like to thank you for breaking the color barrier in baseball. And it's not even just for baseball, this allowed for people to break the barrier in football, basketball, tennis, track and field, everything. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have all the star athletes, we wouldn't have all the heroes that we all grew up loving, the great people who even came on to do these sports and to go on to do even greater things in life. Thank you for being that person to break the barrier. We appreciate you, and thank you so much again.